You know the title of this video already. No use pretending. You know what time it is. It's morphin' time. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. You ready to talk about this? I'm ready for it. This is a movie that is another one of my childhood favorites. If you were between the ages of 8 and 12 in the early mid 1990s, you likely were a fan of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And if you weren't, you knew someone who was. Myself was a huge fan. And, you know, at the time this movie came out, it seemed like the right time. It was like the proper time. If you were deep into the show, catching this movie was a sight. I was such a big fan. In fact, that there was a time, I think I was turning, it might have been 11, and the Power Rangers were supposed to be coming to the local mall, and we rushed over there to get there. We were supposed to meet at like 5 o'clock, or they were going to leave at 5 o'clock, and we rushed from our homes to get to had some friends came over for my birthday. We all ran over there trying to catch the Power Rangers. And I was disappointed because we found out that it wasn't the real Power Rangers. And it was disappointing. Look at this. Can you see the disappointment on my face in this picture? It's terrible. But look, hey, we can't always have what we want, even on our birthdays. But, the next year, this movie came out. So I wasn't too hurt after that. So I just watched this movie again recently, and I'm excited because it's April. We're into April now. The movie drops on the new movie that's coming out on Netflix, Once and Always. I'm super excited about. That drops next week. I can't wait. I hope to get get together with my boy, and we watch together because we were fans together. And that's just, I'm excited actually for that. But what I want to talk about is the 1995 first Power Rangers movie. And in my opinion, remains the best of the official Power Rangers films. All of them have something good about them. All of them are corny in some way, or they have something about them that's maybe doesn't work as well if you're a more refined audience member. But this one, I think I'm always going to have a soft spot in my heart for it. It was just such a special time to watch this movie. So right off the top, you already know what this is about. This is essentially a film version of what we've seen on the Fox television show. But immediately when you put it on, it already feels more expansive. It feels bigger in scope, but it doesn't lose sight of the spirit of what made it fun. And even when it gets a little bit, that's borderline kind of scary, because the show had stuff like that too, but it was just more, seemed like it was lighter because it was a shorter period of time in which to tell a story. This film is already immediately, there's room for exploration of different situations you can put the Power Rangers in. And it gives you that. In this adventure, our heroes come across an ancient evil that has accidentally released Ivanus, played by Paul Freeman, who's fantastic. He was fantastic. It's perfect. He has a grudge to settle with Zordon of Eltar, and he actually succeeds. What happens, though, is that now the Rangers are put in the position where they must embark on an adventure, a mission to retrieve the great power from the planet of Phaedos in order to save Zordon and get some new powers and stuff, because they've lost all their powers. That's the story. Along the way, you have plenty of classic Power Ranger moments. You have them doing stuff, fun. Of course, they're doing. They have a charity event that they're doing some skydiving and stuff for. So the film starts off quite in an exciting fashion. they're just jumping out of airplanes and stuff, and they're setting you up for this is going to be a fun time, and it's fun. And of course, you got fighting sequences when the Power Rangers are not morphed, so they're like in their street clothes and they're fighting at night, right? Already, it's immediately like these things set you up for, oh, this is going to be a serious situation. Because in the show, you never see them operating at night. They're always doing stuff in the daytime, which makes you question why don't Lord Zed and Rita and them do stuff at night? Because they're not confined by time constraints, not of Earth like our Rangers are. They've got school, the teenagers and stuff. They got stuff to do, but Lord Zed and Rita, they can pretty much do whenever they want to. So it's kind of like, why aren't you guys operating all the time? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's immediately thrilling. You see them doing stuff at night. And as a kid, seeing that, it's exciting because now it's almost like there's more leeway to get deeper into like a more serious adventure if you're doing stuff at night. I don't know, something about that feels exciting in a different way that you don't feel when they're operating in the daytime. And then of course there's probably my favorite sequence in the film is the first time the Rangers are fighting in the movie, where they first meet Ivan Ooze, and Ivan Ooze creates a group of Ivan Ooze babies. I don't know what to call them. I don't know if they have a name, but his version of putties. They're at this construction site, and the Rangers have to fight their way through these guys. It's so much fun, and the music, the song choice, perfect, excellent. That's the other thing that's cool, I think, about Power Rangers in general, at least particularly from the original series, Mighty Morphin. And I think Zeo has some stuff too, where they always have the cool fight songs when they're fighting. None of it's ever whack. The movie maintained the spirit of that and sort of bumped it up, elevated it. They're fighting, they're getting jacked up, and then they're gonna have to morph at some point because it's not getting it. They have to morph in order to overcome the threat and stuff like that. So, and hands down, it's the best morphing sequences ever. It's probably the best morphing sequence put to film. On a big screen, on the big screen. It's endlessly thrilling, and to this day, still exciting to watch everybody morph. And they've mixed it up. They changed the morphing order. They made it more dynamic. The suits are more serious. It feels like power. The suits feel like armored power suits, and that's kind of cool. It's a cool sort of upgrade from what was going on in the show. Yeah, man, I love that sequence. That's so right away. The other thing that's cool about this film is, and it's something I didn't appreciate as a kid, really watching it. I was just excited to see things on film, but watching it as a grown up now, relatively, grown up, is the cinematography is really cool. How things are shot. They have really cool tracking shots and establishing shots. There's a couple different moments that stick out to me that serve to amp up the dramatics of what you see on screen. And one of them has to do with right when they're about to morph. So Tommy's like, let's do it, guys. It's morphing time. The way the camera pulls in on him, like, that's a moment. Like, they haven't even morphed yet, but it's a moment because it's coming. They're backed into a corner. The guys are coming. What's going to happen. And so the way the camera sets you up, it primes you for, hey, they're about to get right. Hey, the camera goes in, it's more of a time, boom, and then they go into it. I love that. It's such a tiny piece, but it's excellent. And then they do it again. They do this multiple times throughout the film, but another moment where it stands out is where the Tengu warriors return to Earth, and Ivan Ooze is, they tell him that they didn't actually kill the Rangers, and before he destroys them, the camera pulls it on him, and he does and they just explode, pop. You would never get something like that on the show, and so that already, little things like that started to beef up the juice of the movie, and that's really cool. It's cool to see that. I think the writing in the movie is slightly better than the show. Like slightly better, slightly. There's still it's cheesy. It is corny. There's some corniness about it, but that's what you. I love that. That's what you love about it. If you're a Power Rangers fan, you have to embrace the cheese too. You just that's just part of the situation. Which I think this is one of the things that the most recent movie didn't really have in the same way. I appreciated like the edgier approach to it, because that's also, I think older fans imagine what it would be like if because the show is almost like it plays with kid gloves almost. Imagine if that scenario was more real, like the heightened reality of teenagers operating, against like aliens trying to destroy the world. There's something about that in the ways that they're approaching it is actually much more serious. Like the idea of that is much more serious. So the way they operate in the show almost feels like, yo man, they could really do some damage. Lord Zed and them can do some real damage. And they're not doing that. So the way the movie did it was the 2017 movie was serious. They weren't playing around with it. But I think you lost some of the cheese factor in service of making it more edgy, and it's something about that always was going to sort of not feel the same for people who were fans of the original. But as a film on its own, it's not terrible. It does have some cool things about it. And I have to talk about. I'll probably watch it again and do a review on that. I haven't seen it probably since I first watched it. So, but yeah, this first one though, this one maintains some of the cheese factor, and I think that helps it. It helps keep it light, even though there are elements that are decidedly darker than what you would see on the show. Like the mere existence of Ivan Ooze already makes it way more serious, and the fact that he takes over from Lord Zed and Rita, immediately this guy is not a joke. He's way more serious, and he succeeded in doing something that Lord Zed and Rita never did, which was destroy the command center and jack up Zordon and have the Power Rangers lose their powers in a way that's actually much more personal than it ever was on the show. They've gotten jacked up before and lost their powers and gotten new powers and stuff like that, but the movie did it in a way that hits you right in the heart. So if you're a kid and you see that, you've never seen Zordon vulnerable like that before that. And so it's major, like, oh man, you're really worried, like, oh, they may not, what if they didn't make it? And by the time they do all the different adventures and things they do, it's actually, as a kid, it's actually pretty jacked up, because what ends up happening is actually the worst case scenario. And then of course the Rangers have to figure it out and sort of make changes to get things back on track. But it's actually kind of sad, like what happens to Zordon at the command center. And so yeah, it already hits you. And again, I was emotional watching it just recently, and aside from the fact that obviously Jason David Frank is no longer with us, and so that's endlessly sad, especially when you consider how active he was in the community, the Power Rangers community, and how responsive he was and to fans, myself included. I was, which is wild to even think about, like how he had so many fans and made time to respond to people. I'll cherish that forever. So there's something about that the movie hits a little bit differently. But when I was watching it, that was not at the forefront of my mind. And so, but you do feel the heightened emotion of the story in a way that it's not the same as what you would see on the show. And so that already makes it great too. It's still a solid offering, that movie. The other thing that's cool is the fact that you get to see the Rangers go to another planet. Like, this is stuff that's sort of talked about sort of in the mythos. At that time in the show, the Rangers never really left Earth. I think with the exception of maybe Tommy, the Green Ranger, but even then he was in like a different dimension, different kind of thing. When we was messing with them with the powers, when he was losing his powers all the time, there was like stuff with that, but they never went to other planets though. So that's again, the scope is expansive. It's kind of cool. And then you have the new Zords, which is cool. That's cool. That was cool to see. The the computer generated effects do seem dated now, but the execution of it is still it's man. It's, again, the execution is still tight. Even though now they would probably do something a little bit, they would make it. It would be better, or it would be sharper and wouldn't feel so disjointed in terms of like um, the the computer generated images, like the Zords or whatever it is, um, in on a set. You can tell pretty clearly that it is not as seamless, and but still at the time you can't. It's cool. Like that was cool. And I think watching it now, you don't really think too much about how dated it is. I didn't anyway. But I'm just, if we're talking about it, that's something that's a factor in it. Watching it so many years removed, um, but uh, but yeah, it's cool seeing this, and you get to see them the way the Zords. You don't see them operate in the same way as much uh, on the show, and so it was really cool to see them extensively operate the Zords separately before they came together to make the Megazord. Anyway, at the end of the day, ultimately, this is always going to be a special film to me. I, always love it. It's one of my favorite childhood films, right up there with like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Dick Tracy, Roger Rabbit, a few others. This is one of those heart ones that, yeah, it's corny, it's cheesy, but it's got action that hits. The action hits, and there's something that's genuine about it. In its cheesiness, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and yet it doesn't undercut moments that are serious. I love when movies do that, when they don't take away from the moments that are serious. Having seen this now, I'm actually that much more excited to watch the new one that's coming out, the Once and Always situation. Man, I can't wait for that. And it's cool to see some of the original people popping up, seeing them back together. Yeah. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. Let me know what you think if you've seen it. If you think I'm whack because I still love it, let me know that too. I want to know what time it is. But you already know what time it is. It's Morphin time. And with that, I'm out of here. Oh, the other thing I have to say, okay, the last thing I'll say about this is the theme song for this movie. The theme song already for Power Rangers is tight. It always hits. But the movie version is by far one of the best theme songs. It's one of the best renditions of a theme song that came before it ever. I can't think of. I mean, the Pokemon theme song is already but that on its own was already it's already sort of epic. And I think the movie version of the Power Rangers theme song is on that same level. It's the key of the song is higher than what you get in the show. It's more nuanced. There's more sections. There's more movements in the song. They really dig into to the theme song and make it like, oh, this is the movie. We're gonna throw all the stops at it. The Power Rangers Orchestra destroys this theme. They really do. The intro of it is cool. It's like it's an intro it hasn't been heard before. Like they don't do this on the show. The show version doesn't have that intro. Even the full version of the show theme song doesn't have this intro that the movie version has. And again, it sets you up for this is going to be the most electrifying theme song that's going to get you pumped, and it's going to make you feel the power. You feel. Hey, the tagline for this film, if you don't know, is "The power is on," and this theme song makes you feel like the power is on. So you need to get yourself. It's like you better get yourself right mentally and spiritually because we're about to go. It's going to be for real. And I think the you feel the energy of that throughout the movie. And I think if you were to just take that, just if we're talking about the theme song alone, that is enough to make the experience of watching the movie worthwhile. It is for me. And I think on that note, that's going to do it for my thoughts on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this rant, this fan rant on this movie. I love it, and I can't wait for the Once and Always situation that's going to drop on Netflix next week. So definitely going to be a review for that. Come back for that because I'll be dropping that as soon as I see it. So get ready for that. In the meantime, again, thank you. I got to go. But remember, power up.